And welcome to 630 KHOW. Historian Tony Stewart, his book, Dillinger, The Hidden Truth, and he does a magazine on Dillinger, Johnnie and Burl as well. The film is out, and first of all, Mr. Stewart, thanks for taking time out to do this morning, and welcome to the show.
Hi, you're welcome.
Yeah, a little bit about your background. First about yourself and where you live and why you yourself got so hooked, as we say, on certain parts of history, why you got hooked on Dillinger.
Well, right now I live in Bloomington, Indiana, where I was born. And when I was a young kid, my dad used to tell me I was related to a famous outlaw and that my great-aunt had married him. And, of course, Burl Ethelholbius, Dillinger's only wife, was my great-aunt. And so I got interested in, who is this guy? And my brother and I started reading any book we could find. And unfortunately, back then we believed every word we read, but read a lot of books on him and Bonnie and Clyde and several other outlaws, and I just got more and more interested over the years. And when I first came out here from L.A., ended up interviewing my great-aunt that was married to Dillinger and found out it was a completely different story from what I had read over the years. So she inspired me to write my own book.
First of all, have you seen this film yet?
I sure have.
What did you think of the movie?
I like Johnny Depp. I like Christian Bale. I just feel that I like the movie. I just think the facts were really.
That's what I've read.
The timeline was screwed up, and
yeah.
I mean, they have Pretty Boy Floyd getting killed before Dillinger, and he was killed 5 months after Dillinger, and everything was just kind of Hollywoodized. They changed everything to add some color to it, and I think they could have did a better job. They had good actors, though. I mean.
Yeah, I haven't seen the film. I'm a huge Johnny Depp fan, but I haven't seen the film.
Oh, me too.
But the reviews of the film I've read don't necessarily review it well. I didn't know that and when I was a kid, I remember during one Christmas I read a book about remember those landmark books, and it was on the FBI, and they spent
I sure do.
Do you remember those books? First of all, may I ask how old you are?
Right now, I am 52 years old.
Okay, well, you and I are old guys, but I remember that was the first book I ever read, and it was about J. Edgar Hoover, and it was portraying Hoover as this, wonderful crime fighter, and yeah, you and I, and they talked about Machine Gun Kelly and Bonnie and Clyde and Dillinger and those guys, and at that point, I don't know, I guess like you, I got kind of hooked on it, and off and on throughout all of my life, I've read about these guys. And especially, I'm drawn to Pretty Boy Floyd, Charlie Floyd.
Yeah, I like Floyd too.
Yeah, do you? Thank you. I
don't condone crime at all.
No,
but I like the history.
I do too. And given the Great American Depression, and now given what we're walking into now, I wonder how many of these guys we're going to see again.
Right. Oh yeah, I feel like we're going. This is round 2, and once you go into a recession like this, crime goes up.
Absolutely.
We could go back into that again.
That was one of the things, knowing that I was going to speak with you today, that I thought, but the gangs in America today are far more frightening, in my opinion, than the Dillingers or Ma Barker or Bonnie and Clyde or anyone else. These gangs today are far worse. And also to know that the Capone guys and the New York mobs and stuff, they were totally different than these guys, were they not?
Oh, yeah. Like guys like Pretty Boy Floyd and John Dillinger, I mean, to them it was more like a profession back then. They would dress up in suits, and, they would go in the bank, and it was timed and scheduled and precision involved. I mean, everything was calculated. Well, nowadays, it's more someone needing a fix, and they just go in and shoot someone and grab the money.
Yeah.
And it's crazy today. It's dangerous. It's real serious. It's scary.
Dillinger was, 30 years old when he died?
31.
31 when he died. And the new film has Pretty Boy Floyd dying before Dillinger dies?
Yeah, right. Pretty much near the beginning, and I thought, okay, this isn't right.
Now, Charlie Floyd is, I'm a Charlie Floyd fan. Is it true that Charlie Floyd burned mortgages?
That is exactly true. And, a lot of people get that mixed up with Dillinger, but there's people that robbed with Floyd, and later on were asked about that. Adam Perchetti, before they, gassed him later on, they asked him about it, and he said that it was pretty much, he told Floyd that this I don't know why you do this. It's a waste of time. We need to get the money and go. And Floyd said, well, it makes me feel good. And he would go in there and get these mortgages and burn them. During the Depression, that'd give a farmer a free farm.
Yeah, sure. And
I admire that.
You and I mean, and allegedly, and it's so great to have you on the show. It's like two people that think alike, but I guess he got blamed for some bank jobs that he didn't do. And as the legend goes, in a couple books I read about him, he burned up some mortgages and he turned around to somebody and he said, you tell them that Charlie Arthur Floyd did rob this bank.
Yeah.
That he actually told them that he was, not Pretty Boy, but Charlie Arthur Floyd.
Right. Yeah, he didn't like the name Pretty Boy.
No, he didn't like it. But did he tell those people? I mean, I've read that in some of the books about him. And he said, you tell him who did this job.
I believe so because, there was some bank robberies where, he walked up and had relatives on the sidewalk watching him rob the bank.
Yeah.
And the thing I admire most about Pretty Boy Floyd is I don't think he was involved in the Kansas City massacre. That they labeled him for that.
Mm-hmm.
But when they had a reporter interview him, and he met with her out in the woods, and he was real open and honest. He did kill an officer, and he admitted that. He goes, I wasn't involved in this crime, but this one I was. He was honest about it.
Of all of those people in that time, with Dillinger and Clyde Barrow and Bonnie Parker and Machine Gun Kelly, he's a different kind of a guy, and Dillinger. Do you have a favorite?
I think Dillinger is one of my favorites. I mean, Floyd is almost equal to Dillinger in my opinion.
I agree.
Because Dillinger, I don't think he believed in killing, and I think that he was pretty much, he saw it as a profession, and he was out to rob banks, and he was a really smart guy, and he had a lot of funny comments, and he was superstitious. I mean, there was a former FBI agent had made a statement that it was all a game to Dillinger. It was Dillinger's wits against the FBI, and Dillinger was winning. And at the time, I think he was winning.
Yeah.
He was outsmarting them at every move, every turn,
and
making them look bad. And I interviewed a guy in Greencastle that helped prepare Dillinger for burial, and he had read a lot on Dillinger back in those days when Dillinger was alive. And I asked him, I said, why do you think they killed Dillinger? And he said, he made fools out of the FBI. He said he had to be eliminated. He goes, everyone knew it.
And that's why they shot him down in the street.
Yeah, and, I researched that, too. And, they shot him and he fell to the ground. If you read the FBI reports, he got up on his hands and knees.
They shot him again.
He was moaning, and that's when they come up and put a bullet right behind his head. And that was really uncalled for at that moment, but they wanted him out of the picture.
What do you do with Melvin Purvis?
Okay, I always thought Melvin Purvis was this real bad guy. I kind of